Hello and welcome to Joy in Our Town. I'm Sherry Duckworth, and joining me today is Mayor Laura Masca with the City of Richardson. Thank you for coming and talking with us today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm thrilled to be here.
Now, Mrs. Mayor, it's so fun to call you that because we were talking a little bit about why this is a really big deal. So kind of give us a little history lesson, would you, today on the City of Richardson and how you have become mayor.
Well, it is. It's a very surreal experience for me. I grew up in Richardson, so I've lived there 35 years. And what was significant about this particular election, I've been mayor now for 2 weeks. But what was pretty significant about this election is that it was the first time the residents actually elected the mayor. And so it was a new way of doing business, and it's really exciting to be the first elected mayor.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's really awesome, and it's very exciting. So thank you for sharing that with us. Now, you said you've grown up in Richardson, you've lived there.
Right.
Now you get to be mayor. It's so fun. But you've also been able to see Richardson change over the years. And what would you say are some of the biggest issues or challenges that the city is facing right now?
Well, it has changed. You know, when my family moved there, we were a community of 40,000 residents, and now we're a city of 100,000. Yeah. So time and numbers have changed dramatically. And so I think some of the things that we're facing is that we are an older city. We have some parts of our city that are in need of some reinvestment. And so I think the biggest challenge is to maximize our growth opportunities. What's interesting about Richardson is that we are almost 100% built out. We only have about 10% of the city that still is green space.
Yes.
So we need to make sure that we develop that green space correctly. Yet at the same time, we're going to have to look at some of those older parts of towns that perhaps need some reinvestment, some additional attention, and some change.
Sure. You have to give a little TLC to the older parts of the community, which is good. What about your parks area? Because you're built out, you only have a few green areas left. What does it look like for you when it comes to bike trails and parks? And
well, interestingly enough, my background is I started as a parks commissioner. So the Richardson community really values its parks. And so I think that one of the things that is very unique about Richardson is that almost every neighborhood has a neighborhood park. In fact, tomorrow we're having a ribbon cutting for the one, what we'd call underserved area that did not have a community park. And that's an example of where Richardson was really innovative. We found, ironically, 4 consecutive lots that had homes on them that we were able to purchase and take down, and now we have a community park where once there was none. So the parks and green space is very, very important to community and to me personally. And then the trails is something that we're really proud of. Our location in the Metroplex is central, and we're very fortunate to have great transportation access. But you know, in today's world, people want to hike and bike, and so one of the top priorities of the community is connectivity through parks and trails.
That's wonderful, and I think it's great that you're being creative with what you have available to you. So taking some of those homes, clearing out some space for the parks, you know, for the kids to have a place to run and play is super important. So I think that's great. And as you know, having a city that is full and that doesn't have any more building space, I'm sure requires a lot of creativity when it comes to development and businesses coming in. How are you meeting that challenge?
Well, we're being creative. I mean, that is the right word.
Yeah.
You know, the reality is that we do have some aging retail. One of the things we're most excited about is, and it's a place that I reckon back to as a child, but it was an old Sunrex drugstore, which is now going to be the home of the Alamo Draft House, which is a really innovative way to see a movie experience. It's an Austin-based company, and their first location in the DFW Metroplex is going to be in Richardson. There's a lot of excitement about this, and you know, it's going to be one of those things that's going to help us become a destination place for retail and for entertainment. And so we're working really hard to attract organizations like that. The other thing that Richardson really is fortunate is that we are home to a number of significant corporate campuses. And probably the biggest thing that's going on in Richardson right now is State Farm. You know, our reputation as a community was built on the telecommunications.
Yes.
And obviously that industry has changed a little bit. And so State Farm is actually coming to Richardson, doing about a $1.5 billion development, which will translate into, you know, upwards of 10,000 new jobs. It's going to be a mixed use which says that we're going to have the corporate campus, we're going to have retail, we're going to have living. And so that's another way that we are trying to be innovative, is we're looking at space a little differently than we might have should State Farm have come to us even a decade ago to only be a corporate campus. We're trying to incorporate all aspects of living in what we're doing.
Well, that's great for those who are going to be coming in to
Right.
work for the company. Those who, need employment, they'll have a place to live, work, shop.
Right.
It's a one-stop shop, and that's
Right.
wonderful. I think it's great, and a lot of communities are moving more towards that. It makes it more convenient.
Well, and I think it's what the future holds, as space gets built out, and as, quite candidly, gas and the cost of getting into work increase, people are wanting to be near rail. We are so fortunate in Richardson to have 4 stations on the DART.
Yes.
And so much of what we're doing is going to be around rail and access through transportation.
And transportation is always a big key issue
It
with our
is.
cities and the Metroplex. And so having the rail line, having DART there, having that available, I'm sure has been wonderful for your city to
Well, it is,
get
and it's
people
another thing that I
across.
feel very passionately about. Richardson is very interested in developing the Cotton Belt Rail. Because right now the DART goes north-south, but access to DFW Airport from where we are will be possible through the Cotton Belt. And so again, this same area is going to perhaps be that hub where north-south meets east-west, and folks can hop on a DART train, catch a different train, and head all the way out to the airport. And so I think that access to our community is going to improve, and it will help the region.
Yeah, definitely. Richardson has a lot of visibility because of where it's located and because of the corporate environment that you
Right.
have there. But it's also a really big family community.
It
You
is.
said you've grown up there, your family's there. What are you doing to kind of help keep people engaged and connected? Obviously, you're doing a lot of work with businesses and development and
Right.
bringing them in. And
But the other side is exactly what you hit
Right,
on.
the families.
Because my parents came because of the education. So we are so fortunate. We've got 2 outstanding public school districts with Richardson and Plano school districts. We also have UT Dallas, which is just such an amenity to the region. They're about to become a Tier 1 university, and so we're continuing to focus on providing the things that residents want, not just our corporate citizens.
Right.
And that includes access to quality education, safety, neighborhoods with amenities like parks, and then even simple things like road repairs and sidewalk repairs, those things that people feel this sense of community. And so, we have a really strong neighborhood association program. One of the things that we do that's different than most cities is once a month, all the homeowners association presidents meet with the entire city council and the city manager's office.
that's fantastic.
It's a 2-way dialogue. It helps us understand what their issues are. It helps them understand, where we're going. And so I think one of the things that we do really well to keep connected is the communication lines are clearly open. We're a very accessible council. We're a very accessible community. And we really embrace the input and the ideas from those who are actually living there. And the other thing I think that's really, really important is this sense of, I live here, what opportunities are there for me to have a quality of life? We've recently undergone a bond program, a $66 million bond program, where we just last week did the ribbon cutting for a new rec center that took the place of an older rec center. We have an opening of a new swimming pool that's going to be coming up here in August. We have a new gymnastics center. So we haven't lost sight of the fact that, our residents want those amenities once they're there that give them opportunities to stay in the community outside of their work life.
Absolutely. I think it's great because it is easy to look at Richardson and go, wow, you have all these great businesses,
Right.
great corporations, but there's a lot of families there too.
Right.
And you're also meeting those needs as well. And
Well,
I
we
think
want a
it's good
balance.
to see that. You got to have the balance.
Yes, we
for
do.
Sure.
We really, when you look at our tax base, we're about 50-50. And so,
Wow.
you have, which in my opinion is ideal, but you have to balance the interests of both the corporate community and the residents. And we try really hard to do that.
That's a great challenge for the council,
It
I'm
is.
sure,
It
to
is.
look at. But it's also great,
It's a great
benefits.
opportunity.
Yeah, great opportunity for
Right.
the city as a whole to have that kind of balance
Right.
because we don't see that a lot. Usually it's one way or the other.
Right.
So it's great to see that, you can do that. and
Yes, you can, successfully.
You can do it successfully and meet the needs of both groups.
Right, absolutely.
And that's a good thing, absolutely. Communication. This is always a big one for a lot of cities.
It is.
Getting that information out there to your citizens about what's happening.
Right.
Whether it be the weather or, water conservation, or there's a new building going up or being renovated.
Or there's a festival coming up, whatever.
Whatever it might be. How do you keep your citizens up to date? How do you choose to communicate with them?
Look, the communication emphasis is really important to the council. I was on the council before I became the mayor, but it is very important. And communication channels have changed, as you know.
Yes.
Today, and so what we try to do is we try to provide a variety of options for communication. So obviously we have a website. We have a weekly e-news that goes out type thing to all the residents who subscribe. We also have a hard copy publication because Richardson has a number of senior citizens who aren't quite so comfortable using the internet as their only source of communication.
Right.
We've done Facebook, we are active in Twitter, and so we're constantly looking for today's way of communicating to all residents and all citizens. Because like I said, depending on who it is that you're talking to, you're going to find a different way of communicating.
True.
And so, again, we just try to hit every single stream. Again, back to the HOA leadership, to be able to have a monthly meeting with them and then they disseminate the information out. We have street banners. So I think what you would see as if you were a resident of Richardson is that we're working very hard to get everything out in a variety of ways.
I think it's good. Again, it's that balance
Yes.
of, the different generations
Right.
too. So you have people who, like you said, are not computer savvy, don't use the internet. And then those who, we're on our phones constantly checking updates
Like
and
my children.
statuses.
Yeah, that's right. I need to text my children to communicate with them, versus my mom and dad want a telephone call.
Exactly. I'm like, but I sent you a text, Grandma. No.
Right.
You have to call me.
Right.
It's wonderful. But it's neat to see the different generations.
Yeah.
And in Richardson being an older city, you see a lot of the,
It's my favorite part of the city.
you have a lot of older people
We do.
that have been there a long time. And
We
so
do.
I think it's great to see that.
Yeah,
that
and we
it's a
want
family
to keep
place.
those people there. These are people who have really put their heart and soul into our community. We have a history of historical leaders who come and stay and continue to give back to the community, and so we want to make sure that we're meeting their needs as well.
What would you say are some of the challenges or some of the issues you'd like people to know about that the City Council is going to really address in the near future?
Well, right now, the biggest thing we're going to be doing is working on the budget.
Yes.
So it's a new term, and all 7 City Council folks have been reelected. So it literally is the beginning of a new term. And so for the next couple months, you're going to see us focusing a lot on our budget. We have a really strong commitment to not increasing taxes. Yet I will tell you that Richardson residents have a high expectation for services. And so what you'll see us having to do is spend a lot of time over the summer trying to balance the desires of the residents for services with the cost of delivering those services. And it's always, again, I'm going to use the balancing act word a lot. Mm-hmm. And then I think that you'll also see us recognizing that we do have some infrastructure issues. We are an aging city. And so we've got some street and just infrastructure type issues that we're going to have to continue to address. And so we're going to be looking for innovative ways to do that. We're really fortunate right now. We feel like our property valuations are going to be up. And so we are not in that difficult position of having reduced, yet we need to make sure that what we're doing with the taxpayer monies is the best use of their money, quite candidly.
Absolutely. I think it's great, and it's good that there's open communication there too, and that they're able to have a little say and to have an opinion, and that you're able to hear it. So I think that's a great start.
Well, and we do. We have
great.
hearings, and we really do. You would find that the council very much seeks the input from the residents about what it is that they want to see in the city.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you so much, Mayor Maska, for being here today.
Well, thank you for having me.
We love the city of Richardson, and we're glad you were here to talk about it.
Well, thank you very much.
And thank you all today for watching Joy in Our Town.